Look at any flame, a candle, a stove, a fire in the dark. It feels like it has always belonged to us. But in the oldest Greek story, fire was never ours to begin with. It belonged to the gods, kept high on Mount Olympus, far out of human reach. And the only reason you have it, the reason your ancestors could cook, forge metal, survive the winter, and build everything that followed, is that one being stole it and gave it to us anyway. His name was Prometheus. He was not a monster or a villain. He was the first in all creation to be punished, brutally and forever, for the crime of helping humanity. This is the story of that theft, and the unimaginable price he paid for it. Prometheus was a titan, one of the older race of gods who ruled before Zeus and the Olympians rose to power. His name carries its own clue. It means forethought, the one who sees what is coming. And unlike most of his kind, when the great war between the Titans and the young gods broke out, Prometheus read which way the tide would turn and sided with Zeus. He helped the Olympians win. For a while he stood among the victors, trusted, close to the throne of heaven. But Prometheus had a habit that would doom him. He cared about the small, shivering, short-lived creatures crawling around on the earth below. He cared about us. The trouble began with a meal. In those early days, gods and mortals still gathered together, and a question needed settling. When humans made a sacrifice, which part of the animal went to the gods and which part did people keep? Prometheus was chosen to divide the very first portion, and here his cleverness turned mischievous. He took a great ox and split it into two piles. In one, he hid all the good, rich meat beneath the ugly stomach lining, so it looked like a heap of guts. In the other, he arranged the bare bones and covered them in a thick, glistening layer of tempting fat. Then he invited Zeus to choose which share the gods would receive, forever. Zeus, in Hesiod's telling, saw through the trick, and yet he reached for the shining fat anyway, and cracked it open to find nothing but bones. Whether the king of the gods was truly fooled or chose the insult on purpose so he would have a reason for what came next, the story leaves deliberately unclear. Either way, his pride was wounded, and his revenge was swift and cruel. If mortals wanted the good meat, fine, they could eat it raw and cold. Zeus took fire away from humanity entirely. No flame, no warmth, no way to cook or forge. He left our ancestors shivering in the dark, watching the gods keep the one thing that could lift them out of misery. And that divided ox left a second, quieter mark, one that outlasted even the theft still to come. Ever after, when the Greeks made a sacrifice, they burned the bare bones and fat as the gods' portion, and kept the good meat for themselves, exactly as Prometheus had arranged it that day. It also closed an age. Before Mecone, the old story says, gods and mortals had shared a single table. After it, that was finished. The gods drew back to their heights and accepted only the thin smoke of burnt offerings, and humankind was left a little more alone in the world than it had been the day before. Prometheus could not let it stand. He climbed back to the heights where the sacred fire burned, and he stole a single ember. To carry it down unseen, he hid the glowing coal inside the dry, pithy core of a giant fennel stalk, which smolders slowly like a natural torch. And he walked that stolen spark all the way down to the world of men and placed it in their hands. Picture it from the gods' point of view. Zeus looks down from Olympus one night and sees, scattered across the dark earth below, something that was never supposed to be there. Points of light, firelight. Humanity had fire, and there was only one being who could have given it to them.
What Prometheus handed us was far more than warmth.
Fire was the beginning of everything. It cooked food and unlocked the nourishment to grow bigger brains. It hardened clay into pottery and melted rock into metal, into tools and blades, and everything we would ever build. Fire was the first technology, the seed of all the others. In giving us that single flame, Prometheus lifted humanity out of the animal dark and set us on the road to becoming what we are. He gave us the future. And Zeus was going to make him regret every second of it. The king of the gods does not forgive a defiance like that. Zeus had Prometheus seized and dragged to the edge of the world, to a bleak peak in the Caucasus Mountains, and there he was chained, or in some tellings, nailed, to the bare rock. That alone would be a punishment, but Zeus is more inventive than that. Each day, a great eagle descends on the helpless Titan and tears open his side and devours his liver. And because Prometheus is immortal, he cannot die, and he cannot even keep the wound. Every night, the liver grows whole again. Every dawn, the eagle returns. The agony of the first day is simply the agony of every day, with no final one ever coming. Chained, torn open, healed, and torn open again, on and on, for what is meant to be eternity. Here is the detail that makes it almost unbearable. Prometheus is forethought. His entire nature is that he sees what is coming. He knew, before he ever climbed for that ember, exactly what Zeus would do to him. He watched the whole eternity of it in advance, the chains, the eagle, the endless mornings, and he stole the fire anyway. This was not a mistake or a gamble that went wrong. It was a choice, made with both eyes open, to suffer forever so that we would not have to suffer in the cold. That is what turns Prometheus from a mere thief into something closer to a martyr. The first rebel, punished not for greed or cruelty, but for compassion. Zeus was not finished, and this is where a second, quieter cruelty enters the story. The king of the gods could chain the one who stole the fire, but he could not take the fire back. It was in human hands now. So if he could not punish us by taking away, he would punish us by giving. He ordered the crafting of a new kind of trap, a gift so beautiful no mortal could refuse it, and sent it down to humanity, carrying every sorrow the world had not yet known. But that gift, and the famous mistake everyone makes about what it really was, is a story for its own telling. For now, know only that our fire came bundled with a curse. Prometheus hung on that rock for a very long time. His release, when it finally came, arrived from an unexpected direction. Generations later, a hero was crossing those same mountains in the middle of his legendary labors. Heracles, a son of Zeus himself. Seeing the Titan chained and torn, he raised his bow and shot the eagle out of the sky, and struck the chains from the rock. In most versions, Zeus allows it, because by then, Prometheus holds a secret the king desperately needs, a prophecy about a child who could one day overthrow him, and freedom is the price of that knowledge. The one who saw the future had one card left to play, and he had been holding it for 1,000 years. The idea of Prometheus never really stopped burning. Thousands of years later, when Mary Shelley wrote her story about a man who steals the power of creation and is ruined by the thing he makes, she gave it a second title, The Modern Prometheus. We still call a daring, rule-breaking, boundary-shattering act Promethean. He became the permanent symbol of the one who defies the powers above to place knowledge and fire into ordinary hands, and then pays for the gift in full, alone, for as long as it takes. So the next time you strike a match, remember that in the oldest story we told about it, that little flame was stolen for you by someone who knew exactly what it would cost him and did it anyway. Mythling is where the old stories wake up.